Hello and welcome to another Metaphysical Monday on Uncensored Intuition. All right, today we're going to talk about using your crystal skulls for scrying. Now, the method that I'm sharing isn't exclusive to crystal skulls, but it being October, and we're kind of in that season where we're connecting with ancestors or thinking about our ancestors. I'm probably going to talk a lot about crystal skulls this month. So just because it applies, I guess. So with that being said, there's going to be some other crystal skull related. If it's not a video about crystal skulls, it's going to be incorporated. Just because for me, the symbolism, and maybe not just for me, but the symbolism of the crystal skulls is about connecting to our ancestry. It is, for me, the crystal skulls hold and store the knowledge of our ancestors. So, and they want to communicate that with us. So that's what we're going to talk about. The method can be applied to crystal ball scrying. You can scry into a bowl of water. There are many methods of scrying. A black mirror. There are obsidian discs that are for scrying. I think you can look them up as scrying discs, or I don't know what else to call it. But crystals, crystal balls, black mirror. There's a really easy way to do black mirror. You could, literally go to the dollar store. It's funny because I have the opposite. I have a whiteboard made in this same kind of method. You can go to the dollar store, get a frame, get like a big picture frame. You take out the little fake photo that's in there and you paint the back of the glass black. And then you put it in with like the glass side, not the painted side, facing out so that it is shiny because you want that reflectiveness in it. And put it back together and there you go. You have black mirror. We took a door off, totally off topic, but I'm going to share this anyway. We took the door off of it was like a little display cabinet that really didn't hold anything, but we were going to throw it away, but it had a glass door on it that was not broken. So we took it off, painted the back of it white, and then removed the hardware, and we turned it around, painted the door frame of it, and put it on the wall, and added some hooks. And it's like in our kitchen, it's I don't know, 4 feet wide by 2 feet tall, and that's like our message board, and we have hooks for our keys, purse, mask, all that stuff. Anyways, so yeah, crafty time. Maybe one of these days we'll make a scrying mirror together. But we're going to talk specifically about how I would do it with a skull. So to assist in this, we don't have a name for this one. This is one of my favorites. It's a hematoid quartz, which has been featured in a couple of videos, I believe, already. But there is a lot going on here, which is helpful to me. So this is the one that I'm going to be using just for demonstration today. I'm not going to be doing any necessarily readings with it, but hey, maybe we'll do a live one day and we can do like a skull scrying. Yeah. We're going to have to call it something else because I can't say that very well. So let's get into it. So the methods, like I said, can be used in any type of scrying situation. I'm going to specifically talk about how I do it with the skulls. So let's get started. Same as any scrying with a little bit of added preparation. The reason that I would use a skull is for its psychic connection to ancestry or ancient knowledge. So I would begin by using the breathwork activity that I mentioned in this video. I will try to remember to pop the link in that little eye thing in the corner. But basically it's doing a breathwork activity with your crystal skull to bond with it, and also creating a bond by a daily meditation with your skull. Sit with your skull during meditation. Have it near you, in your hand, in your lap, whatever you're comfortable with. And then also some people don't necessarily do this, but whatever type of protection that you do before any type of ritual or workings, surrounding yourself in a bubble, having protective symbols, pentagram, pentacle, what have you, whether you call in Archangel Michael to protect you or you call in a deity of your choosing, however you protect yourself before working, do that as well. And then with the skull, I face it away from me. So we've already done like the breath work, the connection, becoming like bonded or connected psychically with your skull. We've already done that. Okay. I'm just going to go over it. I'm still going to link the thing, but breathing in while they breathe out their energy. So the breath is the energy. And then when I breathe in, we visualize them breathing in our energy. And you just do it, me breathing in their energy and breathing out my own energy and then breathing that in. And you just go back and forth until you feel connected. I think I go into a little bit more detail in that video, but it is also how to activate / bond with your skull there. All right, so we've already done that. We are connected, okay? For scrying, I face it away from me. What I'm going to be scrying in is the back of the skull, okay? And basically it's like you're scrying into a crystal ball because that's kind of the shape that you're getting here. So facing away, allowing the eyes of the skull to observe what you seek. Now this is why I do it this way, because I want his eyes facing out, gaining, visualizing or observing, that's the word I used, observing what the answers are that I'm looking for. So where they see is not where I can see. The crystal skull has a different sight or different vision than a human would have with their eyes. They see the unseen. They see beyond the veil. They see through time. They see the ancients. They see the beings that were there then. They see the events that took place. They see the things that I can't physically see, whether it is a physical restriction with the eyes where you can't actually see like objects that are unseen or entities that are unseen, but also through time. I can't see what happened before these eyes were created in the womb. I can't see that. So that is what they're going to observe for you. So they are observing and bringing information in through their eyes and transmitting it back here for us to perceive with ours. That's why I like doing it with the crystal skull. Scrying also, just in general, a general point about scrying, it's a lot easier if you have a question or topic in mind. I find it very difficult to just do general readings with a skull, just general. I feel like you have to give it something to seek and observe, okay? So just there's that, because it is also connecting to your subconscious, like way back in here in this compartmentalized spot that you don't acknowledge or know about. That's where they're connecting to. They're not connecting to your conscious mind, the things that you know, because if you know, you're not asking, right? So it's a connection to the subconscious. So you want to give the subconscious something to project, if that makes sense. Okay, so just in general for all scrying, but particularly with the skulls facing out, to bring it in and transmit that energy into here so that I can perceive it. Okay, so that's how I would do it. Facing away, allowing my vision to connect with the information that it is pulling in to show me. It's like it's projecting it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just had a visual. Wild West? I think that was the movie that with Will Smith. They have a person, well, their head anyways, and they had some type of gadget that projected the last images that are in the brain through the eyes. It projected it onto a screen, I believe. I may be mixing that up, but that's like a visual that I just got. It's kind of like that, only reverse. They're pulling in the information with their eyes and projecting it back here to yours. Like your eyes are the screen. Just in case you needed that, it popped in my head. So maybe somebody needed that visual representation. All right. So, all right. Facing away from you, I'm lots of notes. I don't want to forget anything. I go off of notes. If you don't like that I look down, I'm sorry. I can't help it. I don't want to rely just on this. Okay, allow the eyes of the skull to observe what you seek, bringing images from the eyes to the crown, okay? And then you observe the crown. So using a dissociating gaze. So I actually mentioned this in last Monday's video with the sigil work. In case you're not interested in sigils and you don't want to watch that video, I'll go through that real quick. In the 90s, we had these optical illusion like books where it was a bunch of, I'm going to set this down. It was a bunch of like geometric patterns and stuff, and you would like stare at it. You would stare at it and until like eventually a 3D image would kind of pop out of it. The gaze that you would have to achieve to get that is the gaze that you're kind of looking for scrying. So a trick that I learned back in the 1900s was to cross your eyes. And I don't know if any other people give that tip for scrying, but if you cross your eyes, it distorts it in a way where your brain isn't recognizing what you're looking at, and your brain kind of makes it do other things because it's distorted in your visual field. So your brain has to kind of suss out what's being projected in there. So I feel like that's kind of a helpful little tip if you're having trouble with scrying, that having that dissociated focus where your eyes aren't actually focusing on anything. Because if you focus on a point, that can work, focusing on like a pinpoint. Like I can see one really like bright dot right there. It'll focus on that. See that one little dot? Like I can focus on that until it becomes blurry. Your eyes kind of can water. You don't necessarily, you want to try not to blink as much, but obviously you're going to need to blink. But the longer you can go without blinking, I feel like it helps, because I feel like when your eyes start to water, it also kind of distorts the image, which will allow other things to kind of come through. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next part. Find a fixed point, a crack, a flaw, an imperfection, or reflection, and stare at that point until all is background. Okay, so you want it to kind of become unfocused background visual, where, so if you're do this with me, look at your finger, but you're looking at your finger is in focus. But if you are now, this can be tricky for some people. I do it so easily, like I do it all the time. But like, you know how if you ever see something out of the corner of your eye, but you're looking at something, that's kind of what you want to do. So I want you to notice, looking at your finger, it's in focus, you're looking at your finger. But while you're actually focused on your finger, take just your awareness, not your eyes or your focus, just your mental awareness on the background, and see that it's whatever is behind your hand. Like I have my windows and my blinds and the plants. There's a laundry hamper, and my light here for overhead shots. All of that is kind of blurry, and the goal is to get what you're focusing on to blend in with that blurry background. And that's when it'll be a little bit easier to see shapes form in the objects that you're scrying in. So there's that little helpful, I hope, tip. And then you want to shift your awareness all around without moving your eyeballs. Notice feelings, sounds, sensations, taste, smells. All of your senses can work with scrying. So you may notice you don't see anything, but you start to get like a poking feeling in a certain part of your body, like somebody's pressing on you. Or you'll notice a smell, but there's nothing that would smell like that around. That the scrying itself is not always necessarily going to bring a visual representation. Not always. Some people's gifts are not visual. But you can still scry if you have a hard time visualizing things. That visual part may not be for you, but that doesn't mean you can't scry. I encourage you to try everything at least once, because you never know. But sometimes if you're not a visually gifted person, you may hear things. It just having that dissociated gaze where you're disconnecting your brain from your visual awareness. It's almost like sensory deprivation, where blind people who cannot see, their ears are more active. That sense is heightened. It's similar to that. So it is possible that while you're scrying and you have that dissociated gaze, that other senses will be more projected for you. So you may be scrying into a black bowl of water, may not show you images, but you may get audio messages. You, like, if your question is related to, like, say you asked, who are my spirit guides? You want to know who your spirit guides are, what they look like. Okay. And so you're scrying to learn about your spirit guides, and you smell something. Usually if it's a smell that you will know. It will be linked to something. So you smell your grandfather's cologne that he used to wear when you were a kid, and you haven't smelt it in forever, but you know immediately that smell is associated with your grandfather. You could take that intuitively as either my grandfather is my spirit guide, or if you asked, what does my spirit guide look like? Maybe they resemble or have similar features, or maybe your grandfather had a specific type of way he wore his beard, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, however old you were. So maybe it's just giving that, and it's up to your intuition to kind of decipher what that means for you. But other senses can play a role when you're scrying. It's important to recognize that as well. All right. But again, it will relate to the question. That's why I say at the beginning, it's important, I feel like, to have at least a topic, if not a specific question. Yes or no is not necessarily good for scrying. You're not going to get quite like the yes or no. You would need to word it in a way that you would get a more clear answer, because yes or no is not clear when scrying, at least not for me. If you know somebody who gets very clear yes or no simply from scrying into a bowl or a mirror or what have you, please, I want to know who they are. I want to meet them, or at least see them online if they have a presence. All right, so moving right along. All right, so we did that. Notice feelings, sounds, smells, as well as visuals in the crown of the skull. Then, very important, I feel like this is going to be a little bit short of a video, because it's really, scrying can be very simple. It's just something that you need to adapt to, or a skill that you build. It's a muscle that you need to exercise. So it's a simple process, but I feel like some people struggle because they don't give themselves the grace to be consistent, to consistently screw up. It's okay if you don't get it, and you're not always going to get everything the first time. You're not. As a gifted and talented education graduate, I'm used to getting things on the first try. I'm used to getting material, understanding things. That's a whole other topic, but it's okay to not get it the first time. So don't give up. If you're used to, like me, understanding the material immediately, or understanding what you're seeing immediately, having very clear senses, that it just may not be the muscle be active yet. That was very bad grammar. But it just may be that it needs to be exercised a little bit. So don't give up. It's not always easy. Scrying is, I feel like, a little bit more advanced, a little bit, but some people take to it right away. So don't be discouraged. But I just want you to know that it is something that is a buildable skill. Okay, so the last thing I have written down in my notes, and I feel is also very, very important, is to write everything down as soon as possible, because you may forget. Because you're in that dissociated kind of trance-like state, your memory storing is not going to be super active because you're dissociating that part of your brain so that you can focus on the senses that are bringing the message in. So write things down. If you see animal, just jot down a list. You could do it while you're scrying. I think at first, if you're still trying to build this muscle, maybe wait till after, because it can pull you away from the state that you're in, that you need to be in for the scrying. And you could write it all down. Just write down everything that you remember pretty much immediately. And as you get better at it, you can you don't have to look away while you're writing. Have a journal nearby and a pen in your hand while you're doing it, and just, you can sketch things. Like if it's something that you don't like, okay, I see a bear, and you can write the word bear, but if you see something that you don't recognize exactly what it is, sketch it out. So I feel like that's very important, because you're in that trance-like state. Your memory may become fuzzy about it afterwards. That happens actually a lot with me with tarot readings. I'll do the reading, and because I'm the more connected I feel like I am to the reading afterwards, I'll post it. Like, I still get comments on past readings, and it's just like, I have no idea what I said. No idea. I have to go and rewatch the video. Even if I just posted it. So it's possible for that part of your brain is not as active, because you're trying to use a more subtle sense, if that makes sense. So that's what I have on the on how I would do it, how to use the skull specifically for scrying, but also just scrying in general. Even if you don't have a crystal skull, you're not into that, but you're interested in trying it, you can get a dark bowl, preferably black. You want it to be dark because it's easier to there's another reason too, besides it being like a protective energy, but also it makes it more reflective, so you can kind of see more. There's like a helicopter, sorry if you can hear that. All right, next Monday, so don't forget to subscribe if this is something you're into. Next Monday we're going to talk about crystals for ancestry work. So again, October being about ancestors and those who have passed, and kind of the veil between worlds. So we're going to talk about crystals that you can use to help work with your ancestors and kind of reach beyond in order to connect. So with that, I will end this video. Always remember that the magic you seek is within you. Have a blessed day.